Hi everyone, my name is Joe Williams and today I'm going to interview myself to find out how Joe Williams, the violinist, first got into music and a little bit about his journey which eventually took him to Cardiff and the BBC National Orchestra of Wales. Ah, here he comes now. Joseph, how old were you when you first started learning the violin?
9, though I did start on the piano when I was 7.
So were you some kind of child prodigy?
If only. My piano teacher told my mother she was wasting her money on my lessons, which was in fact true. I remember sitting at the piano, looking at the music and not having a clue what those little dots meant.
So why did you think you might be better at the violin?
I didn't. I had an older brother learning the piano, and my mother made him practice for half an hour every day. She thought it wasn't fair that I was doing nothing, so she made me read a book for half an hour a day. This was aged 8, and I remember reading Treasure Island, staring blankly at the pages and waiting a few minutes before turning a page. It was so boring. Our local music advisor came to my primary school and said there was an opportunity to learn the violin or cello. Our school didn't have any cellos, so I asked my mother if I could learn the violin, just to get away from my reading.
And you took to the violin like a duck to water?
Wrong again. I was hopeless. I remember sitting in our school orchestra and thinking, how can people do this? They're just playing the notes put in front of them. Everyone was far better than me.
So how did you become a violinist?
That would have been the sheer determination of my mother, who made me practice for half an hour every day. Eventually, I realised I was getting better than my fellow wannabe violinists, and that spurred me on to practice even more.
Do you come from a musical family?
No, I don't. My father was a van driver for the local social services department, and my mother was a stay-at-home mum. They both loved classical music though. My mother, being Italian, loved opera, and my father, who was a Welshman, sang all his life, from when he was at primary school to driving around in his van.
So how did you make the transition to becoming a professional violinist? I presume you took the usual route via music college?
No, I didn't go to music college or university. I had private lessons with a violin teacher called David Martin, he taught at the Royal Academy of Music in London, but I went to his home for my lessons. When I was 20, he suggested I apply to the National Centre of Orchestral Studies. It was newly formed that year, 1979, and there were shorter violins, so I auditioned and was accepted. It was a 1-year postgraduate course, but there were still shorter violins for the following intake, so I stayed on for another year. At the end of the course, they organised some auditions for different orchestras around the world. One of them was the Hong Kong Philharmonic Orchestra, and so in 1981, 3 weeks after getting married to Catherine, we flew to Hong Kong, where we stayed for 3 years.
And that was before you came to Cardiff?
Yes, but only after another 3.5-year stint in Iceland, where I played with the Icelandic Symphony Orchestra.
Wow, that must have been a bit different to Hong Kong.
You can't imagine 2 more different places. Hong Kong was busy, crowded, hot and humid. Iceland, cold, remote and full of a natural rugged beauty.
So you came to Cardiff in?
I started the last day of 1988, just in time for the 1989 New Year's Day concert.
That means you've played with the orchestra for 31 years, if my maths is correct?
That's right. It's been a real privilege to play with such a great ensemble. There have been so many memorable concerts and tours.
Thank you, Joseph, for sharing with us your journey into music, which eventually brought you and Catherine to Cardiff.
Thank you.